What is going on, guys? It is Cabal Culture Smasher here. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, well, the box office for the Hollywood industry has seen basically one of its few healthy box office runs thus far this past year. And you got to take into consideration, right? The only single big profitable blockbuster flick that Hollywood has had come out this year has been frickin' Minecraft, dude. Minecraft, which has blown the records out of the water. Totally unexpected. That thing is near $1 billion at this point in time. And what does that say about the state of Hollywood's health as an industry, that a movie that looks so freaking trash ends up being the most successful thing they've ever made this year? And all the stuff that they hoped would succeed absolutely flopped left, right, and center. And we're already near June. We're already at the halfway point of this freaking year, dude. That is crazy to think about, right? Well, this past Memorial Day weekend, Hollywood may have finally gotten some good wind, right? Because over the past couple of weeks, you got that horror movie Sinners, which actually did pretty well. Thunderbolts, unfortunately, was a flop because that movie cost $560 million to break even. And the sad thing about it is that movie did not even get close. Sinners is performing just behind Thunderbolts at $338 million. Thunderbolts is about $360 million. So $200 million off from making their box office break-even point. That's a pretty terrible loss. But when you consider that Disney has lost $500 million in most of their projects in recent years, that's actually not that bad of a write-off by comparison. At least the theaters got a decent chunk of that change, right? Well, when you take a look at Lilo and Stitch, that was surprising to me. I expected that movie to perform a lot better than Snow White. Definitely going to be a lot better than Snow White. I cannot believe that movie has made $360 million worldwide opening weekend. Huge numbers for them. Now, you do have to consider that this was not like a 2-day weekend, right? This was Memorial Day weekend. So it was counting a Thursday through this past Monday. So a 5-day gap. But still, that is a great hold for a 5-day gap. You know what I mean? Especially when considering that it's already outperformed Thunderbolts. So Sinners nearly outperformed Thunderbolts. Lilo and Stitch freaking dwarfed Thunderbolts in its first weekend out. That is terrible numbers for them. Lilo and Stitch will make more than Captain America Brave New World by about a week from now, easily, guaranteed. Brave New World is going to lose the studio about $500 million. And Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, sitting at $200 million worldwide. Sounds great and all, except that the budget for this movie was $400 million alone before marketing costs, about $100 million or so. So you're looking at $550 million, $600 million spent on Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, meaning that movie needs $1 billion. $1 billion just to break even, and it's not going to work out for them. Especially because I enjoyed The Final Reckoning. I thought it was pretty good, but I did recognize that it was inferior to some of the other installments in the franchise. I still enjoyed it, though. However, there seems to be a good chunk of the audience here on the internet that absolutely despised that movie. Thought it was the worst in the franchise, in fact, next to Mission Impossible 2. I don't know what that argument is. I think that's a ridiculous argument, all right? It's not the greatest film in the franchise, but it's definitely far from the worst, all right? It's got some problems, though. I wish that the movie could have been better for its final outing. I wish I could say that it was phenomenal. It was not phenomenal. I still enjoyed it, though. And for what it was, I really enjoyed the ending. I thought it was a good, nice little send-off to the story. But still, obviously, my liking of the film does not translate to the film's success because it's not going to succeed. This movie could be the greatest one in the franchise, right? And even if it made $1 billion, you're still looking at maybe a return of what, like $300 million tops? Top Gun Maverick made like $1.4 billion, I believe, right? So if that were to be applied to this case, that's only a $400 million profit, when I'm sure the studio would have really wanted something like $500 to $700 million profit if they were spending $200 million on the movie plus marketing, so $300 million, right? Take into account, if that were the case with Final Reckoning the way it was with Top Gun Maverick, if they only spent $300 million tops between budget and marketing total for this movie, and they made that same amount of money, you know, that is an insane amount of hundreds of millions of dollars we're talking about for their profits, right? That is $1 billion in profits alone. And that is what the studio would have liked to have taken home, especially for the final installment of this flick. But no Mission Impossible movie has even gotten close to that. No Mission Impossible movie has even broken $800 million. So the fact that they thought it was a good idea to spend $400 million is pretty ridiculous. Granted, you can give them some excuse here, some leeway, because this movie was heavily affected by both the pandemic and then the writer's strike. So you can give them some leeway there for the budget going out of control. Still, though, they're still going to lose money on it. So no matter how good this movie could have been, it's not going to be great for them. And unfortunately, because not everybody loves this movie, even more so. Word of mouth, I think, is going to suffer. $200 million is kind of a lackluster opening. It started strong, and then I thought for sure after Memorial Day it would have been like incredible, but it hasn't really done that thus far. Kind of strange. I was expecting more from it. Especially for a final outing in a series. I thought at least 250, right? But then again, maybe a good chunk of that audience took their kids to go see Lilo and Stitch. Which, by the way, Lilo and Stitch, I have not seen that movie. I have no intention of seeing that movie. I'm not excited to see that at all. Because I saw the original years ago. I have no desire to watch any more potential, remakes, spin-offs, the lot. What I heard about that movie is that they totally bastardized the entire concept of Lilo and Stitch, which is Ohana means family, family means we stick together. I heard they totally ruined that entire concept with its ending. I'm not going to spoil that because I don't know if any of you guys are interested in seeing that movie. All I've heard is that the ending absolutely shits on the entire original story's theme. And that sucks. At least it's making the money, though, because that movie, for sure, could not have spent more than like $250, $300 million max, right? They've already made $361 opening weekend, meaning their break-even point's only $600 million. They're definitely going to reach that with the numbers they're going. I think you're going to look at maybe a $750 to $900 million for Lilo and Stitch when it's all said and done. Really good for them. Unfortunately, that came at the cost of the source material. Hey, at least it outperformed Snow White in its totality, right? At least Mission Impossible's opening weekend outperformed Snow White in absolute totality. But the fact is, you're only looking at 2 blockbuster profitable films this entire 6-month period of 2025. Minecraft, Lilo and Stitch. Every other major blockbuster flick has flopped. The only other profitable films at the box office were like your B-grade films, like Sinners, for instance. That isn't crazy. That is crazy, crazy stuff, right? There's no excuse for Hollywood losing this much money year after year, film after film, film after film. They have to learn their lesson, and they have to start getting butts in seats again. How in the world have they shot themselves in the foot and destroyed their brand this much? It will be forever a mystery. But anyway, guys, let me know your guys' thoughts. Did you guys see Mission Impossible? Did you guys see Lilo and Stitch? Are you guys excited for any of those flicks? Are you excited that at least Lilo and Stitch will be making money? Let me know your guys' thoughts. If you guys like this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. I will see you guys in the next one.